Hey friends, should you buy an expensive bootcamp? Should you spend thousands of dollars on your UX education? There are bootcamps and online classes that literally cost thousands of dollars. Should you buy them? Let me show you what to look for, including the potential red flags and how to decide. Before we begin, however, this is extremely important. If you need to take a loan to afford an online bootcamp, then definitely don't do it. We'll talk about those guarantees of getting a job later in the video, but please don't go into debt. In that case, go for cheaper courses and learn on your own. Now, let's say you can afford $3,000 to $5,000 and you're all excited for the course. Should you take it? It depends. What I would advise you is to take a very cheap online course first, like the one by Google, or just check out my YouTube playlist called Becoming a Designer and read about it online on your own, 1 or 2 articles every single day. Find out what it really is. Many people join an expensive bootcamp just to realize they don't like what this job is all about. Don't waste your money. Try it out first and see if this industry even resonates with you. But let's say that it does. There are some benefits and some problems with expensive bootcamps. Having access to real, experienced teachers is definitely good. If you can find a bootcamp that does that, it's likely going to be worth it. How do you know they're experienced, however? Here is a beautiful representation of what happens. So we have a UX person here. The UX person takes some money that they have and then throws the money at some interns. So the interns are obviously happy. That's the smiling faces right there. They get the money and they get to work in UX. Pew, 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 and that's the cash just going at them, and everybody's so happy and money raining down. Pew, pew, pew. And those are not really raining sounds, but doesn't matter. And this is gonna be the magic. So this is where the magic happens. This is the magic. Because if you take the interns and give them a script and give them enough cash, then they suddenly become UX professionals, UX teachers. And if they're good actors, they can even start playing the part. So, kind of like they get to be UX teachers and now we're like, ideation, so nice, I'm gonna be a super UXer. And boom, the magic happens and the second person goes like, wow, UX process good. So this is the magic, transforming regular interns into magical UX teachers. So the UX person is not frowning anymore. He's like, no, I'm super happy and I'm gonna laugh at you, ha ha ha. And the laughter echoes through the walls of their newly built mansion with your cash. Those instructors follow the script and some frequently answered questions they also have on a piece of paper somewhere. If you ask anything outside of that, they'll skip your question or say it's not important. Now, is this real? It can be. How to see through it before you start paying for the course? First thing is to see the list of instructors. If there is no list and it just says dozens of experienced practitioners with no names, it's likely a scam. Avoid it. If, however, there are names and some links, do your research on these people. Now, keep in mind they don't need to be popular, so the fact that they have 1 follower on Twitter is not necessarily bad, especially if it's their first year on the bootcamp. It can mean they're a bad teacher though, because we do have a tendency to follow good teachers even outside of their class, to potentially learn from their tweets, posts, or videos. It's not 100% red flag, but stay cautious. A red flag, however, is definitely when you can't find anything about the person. No previous work experience and that you can check on LinkedIn, no portfolio, no projects. In that case, it means that these people either never really worked in design or they're bad at promoting their work. If it's the former, then how do you want to learn from people who don't practice the craft? Academic UX is the reason many bootcamps train people who are not really ready for a real project. They may be ready to write a long case study and that's it. But if they are bad at promoting their own work, it's also a red flag. It means that people who are supposed to teach you the skills necessary to get your first UX job aren't really that great of showcasing what they do. And showcasing your work and your skills is one of the most important things while learning anything, including UX. Always check all the teachers outside of the bootcamp. Do your research. After all, UX is about making decisions based on research, so you can start even before you start. Look out for filler content. Another thing you need to be aware of is that you can learn the fundamentals of UX quite quickly, so to make those bootcamps longer and seemingly worth the money, they're often bloated with extra filler content. I'd say a healthy division is to have 1/3 of the course cover all the fundamentals, 1/3 be solely dedicated to building your portfolio and then creating a case study, and the remaining 1/3 can be everything else. If the proportions are in favor of everything else, then you may end up having some fun with sketching storyboards and end up without a proper portfolio in the end. Now a question, are recruiters paying attention to which bootcamp you went to? I would say no. They want to see your portfolio first, and if, and only if it's interesting, they will see your resume and browse what classes you completed. With a mediocre or plainly bad portfolio, nobody will check your bootcamp history because they don't have the time. They have very little time to evaluate people. That's why, if you're comparing a couple of bootcamps and there are no obvious red flags with the teachers, pick the one that focuses more heavily on your portfolio. You can learn the fundamentals first with a cheap or free course. But when the time comes to pay, spend your money on something that is actually worth it. Also, having access to real teachers is great when building a portfolio because you can have it reviewed right there. That's also why teachers with no industry experience are bad. They can't really evaluate how the industry will react to your work when they are not really a part of that industry. So bottom line, do your research on the faculty. Don't take courses you can't afford. Start with a free or cheap fundamentals course to see if it's even for you, and be aware that no bootcamp will get you a job. It's all up to you, and it always means a lot of extra work. But if you're ready to work hard and build out your portfolio, your chances for success are significantly higher. In the next episode in the series, we'll look at promised job interviews, invitations to observe real designers at work, curriculums, some bad bootcamp experiences, and more. So stay subscribed if you don't want to miss it. And here is a video on how to stand out as a designer and increase your chances. Have a great day. Cheers.